Imagine breaking down on the side of the highway on a freezing, rain-soaked evening, waiting for a tow truck, and suddenly realizing the whole nightmare could have been completely avoided. Here is a staggering, almost unbelievable fact that the modern automotive industry really does not want you to think about. 3 out of every 4 vehicles stranded on the shoulder are sitting there entirely because of basic preventable maintenance neglect. Exactly. A massive 75% of roadside breakdowns are not random acts of bad luck. They are the direct result of owners ignoring the machinery. Today, we are tearing up the standard automotive rulebook and going deep into the closely guarded mechanic secrets that will easily push your vehicle right past the 300,000-mile mark without breaking a sweat. We are talking about the hardcore, preventative habits that keep an engine running like it just rolled off the factory assembly line. Let us actually start with a massive secret weapon that does not require picking up a single wrench or getting your hands dirty. The absolute most powerful tool for doubling the lifespan of your vehicle is keeping a detailed, physical maintenance logbook right inside your glove box. I am talking about a simple, old-school paper notebook where you write down the exact date and precise mileage of every single fluid change, filter swap, tire rotation, and mechanical inspection. Why does this matter so much in the digital age? First of all, when you walk into an independent repair shop and lay that highly detailed log on the service advisor's desk, their entire attitude toward you shifts instantly. They immediately know you are an educated, serious owner who tracks exactly what goes on under the hood. That means they are far less likely to recommend unnecessary fluid flushes or phantom repairs. Second, human memory is a terrible mechanic. You might swear you just changed that engine air filter a few months ago, but your logbook proves it has actually been over 2 years and 30,000 miles. Furthermore, when the day finally comes to upgrade and sell the vehicle, handing the prospective buyer a thick notebook showing a decade of meticulous, documented care instantly elevates the resale value of the car. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the machine was loved and respected, not just relentlessly driven into the ground. Now let us talk about the person actually holding the steering wheel, because your daily driving habits dictate the health of the heavy engine block just as much as fresh synthetic fluids do. Think about what physically happens when your car sits overnight in the driveway. Gravity pulls all the slippery motor oil down into the oil pan at the very bottom of the engine. The critical top-end components, meaning the camshafts, the valve train, and the upper cylinder walls, are left practically bone dry. When you twist the key or push that ignition button the next morning, the mechanical oil pump has to furiously push that thick, cold fluid all the way up through the narrow galleys to the top of the motor. If you immediately throw the transmission into gear and stomp on the gas pedal the exact second the engine catches, you are forcing raw metal parts to violently scrape against each other with absolutely zero lubrication. It is pure, unadulterated destruction. The golden rule of every high-mileage driver is supreme patience. Start the engine, let it idle in park for about 30 to 60 seconds so the oil pressure can fully stabilize, and then drive away gently. Keep your tachometer strictly under 3,000 revolutions per minute until the coolant temperature gauge reaches the middle of the dial. That one simple morning habit prevents massive amounts of internal engine scoring and rod-bearing wear over the decades. Let us finally circle back to the biggest, most controversial automotive debate of all time: engine oil change intervals. You open up your shiny owner's manual, and it proudly claims that you only need to change your advanced synthetic oil every 10,000 or sometimes even 15,000 miles. Automakers heavily push these dangerously extended intervals because it lowers the estimated cost of ownership on paper, making the car look much cheaper to maintain when it is sitting on the dealership's showroom floor. But you need to talk to the master technicians who actually tear down high-mileage engines every single day. They see the horrific, thick, black sludge that builds up inside the variable valve timing solenoids, the timing chain tensioners, and the narrow turbocharger oil feed lines when oil is pushed way past its chemical limit. Oil does not just lubricate, it suspends microscopic dirt, absorbs extreme heat, and neutralizes acidic combustion blowby. When those chemical additives deplete, the oil turns into liquid sandpaper. Mechanics will tell you straight up, if you want your engine to last indefinitely, you drop that oil and install a high-quality filter every 5,000 miles, period. You are making a simple choice between spending a little bit of effort on fresh fluid today or spending an astronomical amount on a complete engine rebuild tomorrow. It is the best insurance policy you can possibly acquire for your vehicle. We also need to aggressively address one of the most dangerous, widely accepted lies in the modern automotive world: the concept of lifetime fluids. You will read the maintenance booklet, and it will boldly claim that the automatic transmission fluid is sealed for life and never needs to be changed. Let me translate what that actually means in corporate terms. The manufacturer considers the life of the vehicle to be roughly the length of The factory powertrain warranty, usually around 60,000 to 100,000 miles. After that warranty expires, you are entirely on your own. Transmission fluid is constantly subjected to extreme shearing forces inside the torque converter and massive heat buildup from the internal friction plates. The clutch packs slowly wear down over time, filling the once pristine fluid with abrasive friction material and microscopic metal shavings. If you leave that contaminated fluid in there forever, it turns into a thick, gritty paste that eventually clogs the incredibly complex hydraulic valve body and destroys the planetary gears. A seasoned transmission specialist will tell you that if you want that expensive gearbox to survive a lifetime of heavy commuting, you need to drain and fill that fluid and change the internal filter every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. Treat all vital fluids as standard wear items, never as permanent installations. If you are realizing that there is a lot more to keeping your car running incredibly smoothly than just putting gas in the tank and kicking the tires, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. We tackle real, actionable automotive engineering knowledge every single week, and having you as part of the community means a lot to us. Let us get back to bulletproofing your powertrain. We just talked about the transmission, but do not ignore your brake fluid. Brake fluid is highly hygroscopic, meaning it acts like a sponge and actively absorbs moisture directly from the humidity in the air. Over a few years, that trapped water severely lowers the boiling point of the fluid. If you have to brake heavily coming down a steep mountain road, that water will literally boil inside the hot brake calipers, turning into a compressible gas. Your brake pedal will instantly go straight to the floorboard with zero stopping power. Furthermore, that internal moisture rots expensive steel brake lines and anti-lock braking module from the inside out. Flushing the entire brake system with fresh fluid every 2 years is a non-negotiable safety requirement that most drivers completely ignore until it is too late. Moving back under the hood, let us talk about a tiny electronic component that quietly and completely robs you of fuel economy and engine power. The mass airflow sensor, commonly known as the MAF sensor. This little piece of technology sits right inside your intake tube, just after your air filter, and constantly measures the exact volume, temperature, and density of the air flowing into the engine block. The engine control module relies heavily on this specific data stream to calculate the absolute perfect air-to-fuel ratio. Over time, microscopic dust particles, pollen, and oily vapors bypass the air filter and bake onto the incredibly delicate hot wire inside the sensor. When this wire gets dirty, it acts like an insulating blanket, causing the sensor to send totally inaccurate data to the main computer. Your engine starts running too rich, dumping raw fuel into the exhaust, or too lean, causing a dangerous loss of power. You will notice a rough idle, terrible acceleration hesitation, and a massive drop in fuel efficiency. The fix is incredibly simple and takes maybe 10 minutes. You carefully remove the sensor and spray it down. But here is the critical warning. You must only use a dedicated mass airflow sensor cleaner aerosol. If you spray harsh brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, or penetrating oil on it, you will instantly melt the sensitive electronics. It is a tiny bit of preventative care that immediately restores crisp, factory throttle response. People also constantly ignore the small, inexpensive parts until they completely fail and take the entire engine down with them in a catastrophic chain reaction. Consider the positive crankcase ventilation valve, usually just called the PCV valve. It is a tiny, cheap plastic check valve that vents internal combustion blow-by pressure out of the crankcase and routes it back into the intake to be burned off. When this little valve clogs up with thick carbon and sludge, that trapped internal pressure has nowhere to go. It violently forces its way out by blowing past your main engine seals, causing massive oil leaks all over your driveway and destroying your valve cover gaskets. Swapping out a simple PCV valve takes a few minutes and prevents major engine teardown. The same logic applies to your engine's timing belt. It is just a tooth piece of reinforced rubber keeping the top half of your engine perfectly synchronized with the heavy rotating mass of the bottom half. Changing it strictly on schedule is mandatory maintenance. Ignoring it because it looks visually fine is like playing Russian roulette with your expensive engine internals. When an old, brittle timing belt snips on the highway, the pistons smash directly into the open valves at thousands of revolutions per minute, instantly turning your engine into a pile of useless scrap metal. Another major area where preventative care changes absolutely everything is the ignition system. Your spark plugs have to fire millions upon millions of times, creating a tiny, intense bolt of lightning to ignite the highly compressed mixture of fuel and air inside the cylinders. As the heavy miles rack up, the metal center electrodes naturally wear down and erode. The spark gap widens significantly, and the spark itself becomes weak and highly inconsistent. A weak spark leaves unburned fuel swirling around in the cylinder, which actively washes away the protective oil film on the cylinder walls and dumps raw gas straight into your expensive catalytic converter, melting the internal honeycomb structure. Replacing your spark plugs exactly when the manual recommends it, or even slightly earlier, takes massive electrical strain off your ignition coils. Fresh, properly gapped plugs guarantee a crisp, incredibly powerful burn, which translates directly to a glass-smooth idle, razor-sharp acceleration, and keeping every single ounce of your original horsepower intact as the vehicle ages gracefully. You now have the exact mechanical blueprint and the inside knowledge to push your vehicle to astronomical mileage, but the story definitely does not end here. There is a silent, highly destructive killer lurking deep inside your cooling system right now. It is a hidden danger that even highly experienced mechanics constantly overlook, and it is slowly destroying your heater core and aluminum radiator from the inside out through an invisible process called electrolysis. In our next deep dive video, we are going completely hands-on in the garage to expose this cooling system killer and show you the simple 5-minute preventative fix that stops the corrosion dead in its tracks. You absolutely do not want to miss that critical information. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell right now so you're perfectly ready when that video drops. Keep your ride running strong, respect the complex machinery in your driveway, and I will see you all in the next one.